Hello and happy time zone, everyone, and good something. Welcome to a new episode of the 4 to 5 show. So this week we replaced Daniel with a much prettier guy who's joining us today. Hi, Jan, how are you doing?
Thank you. Perfect introduction.
Not sure if Daniel would like it, but I don't care. Cool. So Jan, as the people on the show don't know you yet, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I can do that. My name is Jan Vidar Elven. I come from Norway. I'm an enterprise mobility MVP. I work mainly with Azure AD identity and access management scenarios. A lot of security related stuff, of course, in today's world.
Yep.
And often I look into combining that Azure AD functionality with some great other solutions like Azure data center components and so on. So I'm always looking into how we can expand and use the powers of Azure AD.
Awesome. That sounds great. I'm so also when I asked you to join the show, you were like, okay, here's a full list of stuff I recently did and pick one of the topics. And it was all like really awesome stuff. So we had to pick one, but we probably will get you back on the show later on as well to talk about one of the other cool things you did. So I was wondering how do you come up with these type of scenarios? Is that customer driven? Is that like something pops up while you're almost asleep and then you have like the block note on your nightstand to write it down? So how do you come up with these ideas?
Well, often the ideas come up in, as you say, in customer kind of environments where you can look into things like, so this can be useful for something. We can do some customization, integration, automation, reporting, and so on. So basically, the scenarios I'm looking for, because the basic day-to-day stuff, it's so easy, it's so comprehensive now with Azure. So a lot of things you can really do the box, but really interesting stuff is when you started combining things together and see how the possibilities can make something new.
Yeah, so, that sounds fun. And what type of things like how do you combine it? How do you glue it together? What are your main go-to things to use as a glue to get those things together and create those cool scenarios?
Yeah, always interesting to see into the serverless solutions that are you have available in the Azure platform.
Mm-hmm.
So like functions or large apps and automation scenarios, you can really use that as a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm increasingly looking into the Power Platform and how the Power Platform can be one of the user interfaces and the citizen platforms into Azure AD. And not at least Microsoft Graph, because Microsoft Graph, that's the main API I often use when I do this stuff. Yeah.
Cool. So it's like the automation things of Azure, and then combining it with the power of the graph, which will make the solutions there. So I need to do a shout out. I see Avo. I'm very terrible at names, but Avo Gadro SG1 is on the chat and watching it because of the recommendation on the MSCL discussion on MS Build yesterday. Thank you for joining. Little side note: this version of the 4 to 5 show is the IT Pro edition, but you will probably very much enjoy this one as well. So let's talk about today's solution, Jan. So can you first can you give a description and a little bit of background, like why did you create this solution?
Yeah. So basically, I was looking into the packaging and the new stuff that went GA earlier this winter in and around Ignite identities that are now GA. And there are some new things there. Something has been there for a little while. People might have been used to using B2B, business to business collaboration. This is something we use on a daily basis, very many of us. And then we have the B2C, where you have the consumer part, and you publish and make available applications. And that's in a different directory. And there are still use cases for both, obviously. But what intrigued me with some of the new stuff here was how can we use external identities and the self-service sign-up parts to get users to sign up and be a guest in your tenant via some user flows. This is something I started to look into because I've really thought this is something we can have a business scenario. So, for example, if you create the possibility to have self-service user sign up, then you can say, okay, if you are coming from Google or Facebook or another Azure AD tenant, then you can be allowed to self-service sign up. But if you want to have some level of control, for example, decide you can have a whitelist of users that should be automatically accepted. You can have a blacklist of domains or users that you don't want to have self-service sign up, or maybe you want to have some individual approval management solutions of that. And that was something I looked into and wanted to show today.
Ah, cool. That sounds very, very cool. So, what were the components that you used in this solution? So what did you put together?
Well, basically, the first of the main components are in the screen now. So, do I have the screen on the stream?
Yeah, let's put it on. There we go. Yep, there's your screen.
Yeah, perfect. So basically, we have one of the main components is here. You have to have identity providers. Some of these are there by default, and then you can add, for example, the ability to have Google as an identity provider, so people can sign in with their true Gmail account. And you can also add Facebook, for example. I don't have that here, and you can also SAML, VSFed, identity providers. If you have companies, organizations you collaborate with that use that kind of solutions, that they are not in the have an Azure AD tenant, for example. Cool. So this is the first step. You need to have configured your identity providers, and also in preview now you can sign in with an email one-time passcode. So even though they don't have a federated platform, you can authenticate via email and a one-time passcode every time they authenticate. So you have possibilities there. Yeah. So that's the first thing.
Cool.
So if we have that, then you can go in and start looking into what kind of attributes do you want your users that self-service sign up to have. So there are some default built-in attributes. These are attributes that you could select that users that sign up, they have to give that information. And also you can have custom attributes. So you can, for example, if I want to ask which company do you work for, I can add that as a custom attribute. I have done that here. And I can also add other kinds of custom attributes if I want to. And I can also select a set of data types for that. So basically, I can customize and get a lot of information about the users that want to self-service sign up. So you will go through that list and make sure that you have all the info you need to ask the users, and then you will build what we call a user flow, and the user flow is a combination of using those attributes and the identity providers. So let's look into one I have built from before. So there you can select which identity providers is connected to that user flow. So in this case, I'm asking for any type. So any of these platforms can self-service sign up. And then
so basically, if I have a Google account or even no account at all, I can just go to like a company that I need to access an application or data, and I can just sign up and get an account and get access to the application. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's correct. And then we have the user attributes. So then I can select which type of attributes do I want to ask for in this specific demo scenario, this user flow scenario. So depending on my user flows, I can have different user flows, and then I can just ask for the different attributes as well. So And we also have and then we will come back to that later. We also have API connectors, so you can have some custom integration, for example. And this is where the approval management solution will come into.
Awesome.
Let's.
Yeah, I was about to say that's probably one of the main things for this solution, the API connectors, right?
Yeah, that's really, really exciting. And basically, if you have some third-party HR or integration systems, you can do a lot of exciting stuff there.
Cool.
And you can build your own integrations on that. So everything is possible.
Awesome.
So we'll get back to that a little later. But then I will customize the flow. What are the attributes the user will be presented for, in which order, if it's optional or not, and what kind of user input type. So you can have the labeling, you can have multi-support for languages, you can customize a lot of things here. So this is the like the sign-up form for the user. So what will happen?
A question: did you add Norwegian to the languages on this one, or?
Yeah.
Nice.
So basically, languages is it's already configured for me.
Okay.
A lot of languages that I just can use.
Did you agree with the translation they made in Norwegian, or did you make some some adjustments?
Well, I can look into the different languages, as you can see here, and then I can download the defaults, and then I have to translate them myself, and not translate, but it will be suggestions there, and then I can just override them. So yeah,
that's easy.
Yeah, so and then I can configure my own my own set of attributes. I haven't done that here, but then you have a rich way to present that dialogue to the users.
Yeah, so those are the custom attributes that you added, right? Because there's no out of the box translation for those custom attributes, so you can set them up. Cool.
Yeah, for example, yeah, correct. And also you can make your own translations or something around the built-in attributes as well.
Cool.
So back to the API connectors, because when you sign up as a new user using the self-service sign up, you have two kind of events. The first event is after signing in with an identity provider. So this is when you want to sign in as a new user, and then you will select your identification platform, like Google or Facebook or another Azure AD account or something.
Yeah.
And after that sign in, you can trigger an API.
Cool.
So in my case, I have a trigger to something called a check and approval status. If this user is already approved, or we should do some approval management of that.
Nice.
And then the next scenario is before creating the user. This is actually where the user is presented with the list of attributes. This is the questions. What's your name? What's your company? What's your age? Everything I want to ask. This is the step 2 after signing in. And then you can also trigger another API connector. For example, in this case, requesting an approval because the user has not already been approved from before. Like that. And the basic and the part that combines this user flow with an application, it's here. You have to select and use an application that you have in your tenant. So this is it could be any kind of application you build that's integrates with Azure AD.
Awesome.
So
it could even be an on-premises application, like an old style application that I could add this to.
Yeah, as long as you use the Azure AD flows for signing in or creating users.
Yeah, so it needs to be connected to Azure AD, but as long as it is connected to it, you can add this to it.
Yeah, as long as it's registered in Azure AD and use one of the Azure AD flows. So that should be possible, yeah.
Awesome. In the meantime, I want to do a shout out to TRP8472. Thank you for the compliment on the presenters of the 4 to 5 show, and thank you for joining every week. It's great to have you. So thanks.
Yeah. So these are the building stones, and this is all happening in Azure AD and the portal here. So basically, all you need is a tenant for this stuff. But
I have a tenant.
Yeah, you have a tenant. Yeah. And then if you want to have the custom integration with APIs, then you will need to add those APIs as an API connector.
Okay.
So this connector, it have to be accessible for the user that tries to sign up. So in one way, it have to be available on the internet, and the users, they cannot be authenticate to it themselves, but you can set up the authentication in the API connector here. So in my case, I have set up an Azure function. So I built the API myself, and it's not that difficult. I will show it later. It helps to do a little bit programming or PowerShell, any way you like. You can use Azure functions, yeah. And then you can do an authentication. You can do a certificate authentication that will be even more secure. But you can also do basic authentication and just specify a username and password here, and then check that authentication inside the Azure function.
You probably want to go to certificate if you go to production, right?
Yeah,
for security purposes.
Yeah, that's also always a good practice.
Yeah.
So basically, you add your APIs here, and you call it something, a logical name. So and that display name is what I will use in the user flows later for selecting that. So first, I need to have some APIs, and those APIs. So looking at Microsoft services, this can be APIs you built yourself. It could be Azure Functions. It can be logic apps. Because they are APIs with an HTTPS endpoint URL you can trigger. It can be any API you hide behind the Azure API management. If of course it can be third-party APIs as well.
So you can basically pick whatever you feel comfortable with and building it in that. It can be like more a drag and drop type of thing, like it is in logic apps, which there is some more behind it. Or you can like write it in Python and create an Azure function, which would like spit out the right information, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this is the building stones behind that solution. So you can get started doing this quite easily in the portal here. And I can show some different steps as we go through the solution and how this will look when you start getting users in.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So maybe you could set it up in my tenant so I can play around with it as well.
Let's try that.
Shall I create a user account for you? I'm just let me switch the screen. I know it's not very cool to show how to create a user. I think most people on the stream already know it, but just to show you through the whole process. So create a new user. There you go, Jan. And I'm just gonna let me create a password, and I'm just gonna give it to you in a sec. Yeah. It's gonna be very, very, very secure password. This one is really like okay. And I'm just gonna send it to you now in the private chats.
Perfect.
And that okay. Okay, role user. We probably want to give you a little bit more rights, right? To set this all up. I'm going to do the worst thing ever. I'm just going to make you a global administrator. So please, please don't destroy my tenant or our tenant. There we go. No manager, no groups, and create. Okay. And okay, you should be ready to go. with your username and password.
Yeah.
But we also need a Azure subscription, right, for the Logic Apps part.
Yeah.
So let me go to the subscription really quick. I got a really nice free trial running. And then I'm just going to use access control. And let's grant you some rights on this one as well. So we're going to role assignment. Oh, I don't do this very much, as you probably noticed. I'm just gonna make you a co-administrator. I'm the lazy type of admin. I just give you all the rights, so you can do whatever. I'm not. There's a reason I only talk about this stuff and don't execute it at customers. No, just kidding. I know how to do it. It's just in a lab environment. It's okay. So you should be in there. This is just a role. I think it's assigning it. Yeah, you'll be added as a co-administrator. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Yeah. So,
So
while you had that up, Stefan, if you can go back to where you created my user,
mhm.
and I just wanted to help clarify for those that listening. So you have the new guest user there. That's the normal way to
This one,
invite
yep.
users. Yeah,
exactly.
That one. Yeah. So if you wanted to invite my skill, my work email address in there, you can just type new guest user, and then you can invite, and then you can send me that invitation. So what we will look into today is that I will self-invite.
Ooh.
Yeah, to your tenant. Instead of you inviting me, I will self-invite myself. Yeah,
cool.
That's basically what we are looking at.
So this means that I want to work with another company, but I don't want to like invite all the people. I just want to give them the opportunity to sign up whenever. I can do that with this, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's always nice to have in the context of what we are talking about today.
No, definitely good point. So basically, we're switching this from admin initiated to user initiated, right? This is the admin initiated one. I do a new guest user, I type in all the stuff, and then invite the user. And in our case, we're going to switch that around, and the user is going to do that, and it's going to provide all the information there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
okay.
So some of this functionality we'll look into today, it's already been there in B2C tenants. So when you have this consumer scenario, I mean, in this scenario, let's call it B2X. It's business to X something. And the thing is that you can invite social email addresses and one-time email passcodes and other Azure AD tenants and all kinds of identity providers into your. And it will appear in your tenant. It will not be in a separate B2C tenant.
Okay,
and they will have a special source. You will see that later. But after that, you can collaborate them. You can add them to teams. You can add them to other application groups or so on. So they will be.
And basically,
guest users after that.
Yeah. So basically, I can also just kind of show it. I can use a dynamic group, right, to automatically add them to a group and use that to assign an application or whatever, to do the whole to automate the provisioning piece. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you ready to try to sign into our tenant?
Yeah, I will. I will do that
as one of the most powerful roles in there.
So I will just let me create a new profile in my Edge share so I can use that.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, I must share your beautiful background to the people. So is this a picture you took yourself?
Yeah.
Awesome.
A picture I took myself. This is from our cabin territory up in the mountains in Norway. So a few times every year we have weekends like this where there are no just quiet snow and just miles and miles of cross-country skiing.
Awesome. So that sounds like an awesome weekend in the cabin and cross-country skiing, blue skies. Nice. I would just suggest during the winter we will do the show from your cabin, but not sure about the internet connectivity there. But
actually, I have had 2 sessions from my cabin this winter.
Oh, cool!
I presented at the Scottish Summit. That was in the winter holiday in Norway. So I just threw my family out of the cabin and said, "Go up to the lodge because there's a serving place there, so you can sit there while I present." And I presented via 4G. And I lost the connection at one time, but we got it up in a couple of minutes. So, and I did it one more time a couple of weeks ago. So also cool. Then I was kicked out middle in the session and have to go back in. So it's not the best environment, but it's a good environment to relax before and after.
Yeah, that's cool. So TRP 8472 asks, where is that? So this is in Norway. Where is it? Close to, or is there the name of a city?
So it's in the southern part of Norway. It's
okay.
A couple of hours of drive west and a little bit north from Oslo. So
okay.
Basically in the beginning of something called a big mountain plateau in Norway called Hardangervidda. So it's a little bit south of that. So
okay, cool. Sounds like I should visit that when we can travel again.
Yeah,
awesome.
That is a great area to visit. But there are a lot of great mountains areas in Norway.
I know. So I've only been to
visit Norway.
I've only been to Oslo, which I thought was already great. But I've never been outside of the city. So definitely should plan on that, because I think it's probably amazing spots to spot there and to go to. So
yeah,
cool. Okay, let's see if you can sign in.
Yeah, I will just do. I think I have a full screen, so on my rest stream here. So I will just try to start up a new window. So do I have to go out of the full screen or stop this? Let's see here, Stefan. There we are. That's better.
And then moving it over the snow.
Moving over the snow, yeah.
I see something coming
so
up there.
Now I have a new blank profile window here, right?
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah,
I can see it.
So I can go to portal azure.com and I will just sign in. It was Jan at the 425 show.
Oh yeah, I will also send you the account name, because we were too lazy to. It sounds like we're very lazy now, but we haven't bought a domain name, so we're reusing one. So it's 425show.pfe.ninja, which is actually Daniel's domain name. So I put it in the private chat, so you should be able to see it there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So 425show.pfe.ninja. And then if everything's right, you should see the very fancy.
I think I saw something on Microsoft.com when you created it.
Oh, did I create? Oh, yeah. This is the same thing we had last week on the show when Daniel actually created an account and forgot to switch that one as well. It's probably then. It's 425show.onmicrosoft.com. Yeah,
that's what I thought I saw.
I think I need another glass of Coke to stay sharp. There you go. Those nice guys on the background.
Yeah, perfect.
So the last character is an exclamation mark, just like in every secure password.
Yeah, one secure additional character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there we are. So now I can.
So now you can put in a real secure password.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, hopefully we can get rid of those passwords soon, but it's work in progress. We're getting there.
It is. Yeah, just I can save that in that profile and just stay on.
And the people on the show are now also learning some Norwegian on your screen.
Yeah, I have a default profile of Norwegian, so I could probably switch that, but let's just...
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fun. It's fun. Now I feel like I'm somewhere else because I see another language. That's...
It's always interesting that.
It is, right?
Yeah. So let's go into to the Azure AD tenant
Mhm.
settings. So you will go to Azure Active Directory, and
Yep.
then you will go to that blade you have that it's called external identities.
Yeah, and that's also you mentioned B2X. That's actually how we used to call it, but now we calling it, so the marketing approved name for this is external identities, which basically means like we're taking the cool stuff from B2C and merging it into like regular AD, and that we'll call external identities.
Yeah,
Still, you don't want to know when we launch this name how much confusion that that got from people like, but now we have B2C,
yeah,
B2B, and external identities, and there's a different way of
yeah.
licensing. Okay. But yeah, we're getting there at some point.
We are. I can understand this sort of confusion. I have had an internal training with my colleagues about
Hmm.
what's new, what's not new, and everything. So some of it is packaging in a new name, but and some of it's licensing,
Yep.
as you mentioned. But let's go into the identity providers first. So let's save some time by not adding Google and Facebook now, but here you can
Hmm.
see that we have already pre-configured some of the identity providers. If you want to integrate Google or Facebook, you need a developer account. This is free, both on Google and Facebook. And basically, you go. It's really easy. You go here and you go to your developer account, and then you have to create a client ID and client secret and do an app registration at their end, and then you can just add that here, and then you can add that provider if you want to. So it will be easy enough to add other identity providers. But in this case, we can have those three.
Yep. And the experience in the end would basically be the same, right? It's just in with Google or Facebook, do you get redirected to Google or Facebook? You sign in and you get back, and that's it. So yeah.
Yeah, basically the same experience. Yeah. And you will have the list kind of what identity provider do you want to sign up with. So the list will grow as you add the new identity
You
provider.
definitely, especially when you dive into SAML or WS Fed identity providers, that
Yeah.
if you're working with like 40 partners who don't have any of those others,
Mm.
then that can be an extended list. Yeah.
It could be an extensive list.
Yeah.
So then in those cases, you might have different user flows, a separate user flow for that company
Yep.
that use that. So
Oh,
it
that's a
will
good
be
one.
more targeted, I think,
Yeah.
than open.
Cool.
So we can go into the different identity providers, and you can see there are no more configuration about Azure Active Directory. And I can go in the same likewise with Microsoft account. And for email one-time passcode, I can also say that I want to enable that effective now. So this will be auto-enabled from October later this year. But
Yep.
now we can select I want to have users being able to sign up with email one time starting from today.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good point you're pointing out here, that it's automatically enabled except if you explicitly disable it. So if you
Yeah.
or a company is using this and they want to use they don't want to use this experience or they want to decide themselves, be sure to dive into the portal and put it on disable. But I would highly recommend this one according to the old way where we created okay, I'm gonna say it, viral tenants. It's actually it's almost like you need to put a euro / dollar or krona in the swear jar
Yeah.
when you say viral tenants.
Yeah. I agree.
but yeah, so this is way easier for people to sign in.
It's a better solution for sure.
Yeah.
So let's do that setting here, and then I can do. So when I clicked on Facebook here, you could see I had a warning. So self-service sign-up for guest users has not been enabled. So we need to enable that first. So we have some setting here called external collaboration settings. And this is the standard settings for guest user access, guest invite settings. And then we have this enable guest self-service sign up via user flows. So I have to enable this because otherwise I cannot do this stuff later.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is
Important first step, enable the feature.
yeah. you will be prompted as you saw.
Yeah, that's
If you
great.
go into the different settings, you will see, oh, you haven't enabled it, so you will be prompted to. So you cannot miss it really, but it's nice to point out.
On the viral tenants, Daniel's pointing out that we're actually gonna kill viral tenants, or basically completely stopping it, not making it a choice anymore, starting February 2022. So even though if you put it on disabled, you have until February 2022 to inform people that they need to do the email OTP by default. So
yeah. Okay, so that's enabled from there, and now we can start looking into the different features of the self-service signup. So if I go to custom user attributes here, and as we said earlier, this is the built-in properties. I have no custom properties here now, so let's add a company custom attribute, for example. So I can just name it company. And I can say it's data type string, and if I want to, I can have a description for that attribute, company of user service or something. Yeah. So and I can keep adding on more attributes as I like. You should always take care of what kind of information you store about your guest users in these days of GDPR and so on. So you have to really have a good documented use for those attributes, and you should also be using the terms of use. I will not go into that today, but you should really present terms of use agreements till your guest users, and have them accept and know what you do with their data and how they can opt out and so on. So that's a
very good point. I hear a topic for an upcoming show.
Yeah. So we have done terms of use from our guest users from our tenant, and we present them with this is information we know about you. We know every time you sign in, we have that in our logs. We have which application you access, which IP you are logging in from. We do not store any more sensitive data than you yourself are directly providing us. And you can opt out. You can leave the organization every time you want, and so on. So it makes sense to have a terms of use agreement.
Definitely, especially according to the GDPR like regulations. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we have that custom company attribute.
Yeah. So now we have that, and then we can use that, and now we can go in, for example, and create our first user flow. So if I do that here, I can just create a new user flow. And so my camera is working on my computer now, so it's a little bit slow on the portal side. I see that when the processor is working hard on my computer.
Yeah. So I know so before we switched, so we used to use OBS, and the first show Daniel and I did. I hosted it from so I have a Surface laptop, i7, 16 gig, all this stuff. And we started with a template, which was 4K. So I started OBS, and then I started streaming, and my whole machine completely froze. And that was basically the first show, like everything froze. So it's, with webcams and all that type of stuff, you need a powerful machine to get that streaming, right?
Yeah. So luckily my machine is due to, I have a Surface laptop too, so it's end of life now for me, for my use scenarios anyway. So I will get a new one in a couple of months.
What did you pick, or are you able to pick which one?
Yeah, I'm able to pick. We have a budget, but basically I can get most of what I need. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So you haven't decided on which one you're gonna order yet, or?
Well, I think I will still go in the Microsoft line. I was really happy with my Surface laptop so far. So
so I got a Surface Laptop 3, and next to the OBS stuff, but that was because of the 4K. It's a great machine. So I definitely like it. It's especially when we can travel again. It's really light and compact, and I just like the keyboard, and also putting it on your lap. So I also got like a Surface Pro 4, and then with the keyboard and then putting it on your lap, it's terrible. With the laptop, I'm still a laptop fan. My wife is she's totally for the Surface Pro 4 with the keyboard and everything, but
Yeah.
I'm still full blown laptop. I like laptops. Yeah,
I'm going in that direction. I think myself. I like the form
Yeah.
factor of the laptop for sure.
It's nice, right? Cool.
So let's create a user flow. I can just call it 425 show.
Mhm.
So and then I can select what type of identity providers I want to use. So I can take everyone in this case, but if I had set up a Google or Facebook, I could obviously add them as well.
Cool.
So and now I can do some selection of user attributes. So email address will always be there, and so you cannot deselect that, obviously. And it makes sense to have the display name and the given name and the surname. And let's do a job title and company and country as well. For example,
A lot of information you need.
a lot of information. We really need to demo some of this stuff. So
I know. That's cool.
let's keep the address fields out for now. So this will be sufficient for this demo.
Cool.
And now we have selected that, and then we can create the user flow.
Okay, there he goes. The first the first big part of the solution.
Yeah, the first big part of this solution, combining the identity providers and the attributes to a user flow.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and this is a sign up and sign in user flow. So if I go into that user flow now, then I can have a little bit more customization available. For example, I can change the identity providers. I can change the user attributes. I can have API connectors connected. I don't have that now, so I don't have anything to choose from.
Yeah.
So let's leave it at that for now. And then we can go to page layouts, and I can change the different attributes and how they will be presented. So let's do it in a little bit more logical way.
Yeah.
So after email address, I can have the given name. Let's see here. There it is. And then I can have the surname. And then I can have the job title. And then the company and country. And let's have display name after the two name
Yeah,
fields,
that makes sense.
for example. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So, and I can go in and change. If I go to country, it's already a drop down. So it will be presented to the end users that sign up as a list of countries to select from. So basically, all countries will be there. But I can do some changes on that as well.
Can you add your own country? I don't think so. No, you can change the name of a country. Can you? Yeah.
So I can do delete. So I can for sure I can
you can
countries, but it's not possible to add one if it's not on the end of the list. Maybe. Yeah, it's there.
Oh yeah, it is.
I can have I can create.
You can have your own country.
Yeah. So there it is. So you have all the flexibility you need for that. Some types of attributes you can, for example, the company, it could be a drop down, and then you can just have a pre-selected set of companies, for example. So this should be easy enough to change. Yeah. So let's save that. And this user flow is actually quite near doing a test now. We do have to go in and connect it to an application, because if we don't connect it to an application, there's no way to
initiate it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what I do when I do these scenarios, because I'm not an application developer, but most of us that work as IT pros, we have developers or someone that can help us create applications. But it's really easy to start with an application sample also in Azure AD.
Yeah.
So let's do that. If I go to app registrations, and I will just go in and click new registration. I want to create a new app. And this is an app I can develop myself. So I will just call that the 425 show self-service user app.
I love it.
I love
So
it.
it's the 425. Oh, I'm not sure about the abbreviations because it's 3 S's in a row, but
Yeah.
and then UA. Let's just say the full name.
Let's keep it like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mm. So yeah,
Okay.
and I will just say that this is for the single tenant, and this is makes sense because I want to users should be invited to this tenant, so it will only be used for users that are invited to or already have been invited to this tenant. So let's keep it at that, and then I just click register. So now I have the app, but then I need some code for that app. And as I mentioned, we have some great samples already in the quick start. So this is something you can do really quick yourself. You can select what kind of an application. So usually when I demo this, I use the single page application, this JavaScript application where you can run locally.
Cool.
So, and then I will just use the new authorization code flow.
Yeah, of course.
Instead of the implicit. So, and then I have the quick start. So it says that I need to authenticate to localhost 3000. So I just say, make these changes for me. So I make that update. And then I can download the project. And it's really specific what you need to do. You have to download and have some things installed on your machine. It's the best way to do that is using Visual Studio Code. I think many IT pros have that already today. If not, you should really look into that. And then you will just start install that project and start the solution. And then you can go to this URL, and then you have your sign up application already.
Awesome.
So it's very easy to get started with. So let's do that. I will download that code sample.
Awesome. We're gonna do coding in the 45 show IT Pro edition, or run sample code. Actually, this is how I do coding as well. I download sample code and then change a few things and then run it.
Yeah, and if you're stuck, you just select search for solutions on the
exactly.
internet.
Yeah. And probably someone would tell you to install this executable, which is very safe, and it will fix everything. It's I was watching a YouTube series of a guy who's actually exposing scammers who are calling people and everything, and also he showed like how they set up websites for standard searches. So if someone searches like my Windows 7 or my Windows 10 is slow, they try to get it on as the first result in Google, and it basically will say download this stuff and then call this number, and then they will just take over your PC and make you transfer money. And yeah, it's terrible. It was interesting to watch, especially the reaction of the scammer when they figured out that actually he now has access to their PC, and then he will show them like personal pictures that are on their PC and stuff. I don't know the name of the channel anymore, but yeah. Oh, he does it live daily on Twitch. Seems like that's cool. Okay. Oh, and there it is. Kid Boga is the channel. Okay, a little sidestep.
Yeah. So so basically, I have now downloaded this package. So I've just select a target location. So I've just click browse. Here we have some Norwegian text again. So I will just go to my local repository copy, and I've prepared for today. So some of the samples I will we will use today. I have that in a GitHub repository, so I will upload and commit that later. So you can go to my GitHub and find the things I set up today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So so if I just select that here, and then I can just pack out. That's
and
really,
we will make sure for people
English translation. You can just pack out, unpack. It's the correct word. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds also a little bit Dutch, to be honest. Yeah. Uitpakken, which is yeah. There you go. And also for people watching the recording on YouTube, we will make sure to put the links of all of this in the comments as well, so you can follow that if you want to try it yourself.
Perfect. Let's see here if I can just now get that code window over here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the package I just added. So I will just go into that. I will just open that folder.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that in my focus and the context. Let's see. So this is the
There
app.
you go. Yeah.
So it's pre-configured for me. And if I go and just click away that getting started stuff, and then I will just wait a minute and wait for the terminal to appear, but I can also click new terminal. Yeah.
Okay.
So here we are. So I think I was one folder too deep now. Let's go up. So basically, I'm not a developer. I said that right. So I will just say this is the folder I should stay in.
There you go. Now we're switching to that folder.
Yeah, that's the root folder of that sample I downloaded.
Okay, so make sure that if you open this in Visual Studio Code, to select the root folder of the of the code that we just extracted.
Yeah. So I clicked myself into the app, and that was wrong. It's too deep. So okay, then it's starting looking up again, and I can go in and just make sure that the new terminal, it will appear automatically after a while, but my PC is busy now. So it was the command was npm install. That's a node package manager. It will install that application locally on my computer. So it basically will create a build.
Yeah. So you don't need even have to like change stuff to the code or write anything extra. It's just like install and run.
Yeah, you can do that if you like, but just to run the sample, you don't need to do that.
Awesome.
So if you are going to really build an application for self-service sign-up, then you will need to let users.
Yes, of course.
You have to create it a little bit prettier. You have your logo and use your custom branding and so on. But in this case, it will just add a simple application.
Then you're probably gonna ask someone with developer skills to build it, and then designers and all that type of stuff, right? Yeah,
for sure. I will not do that usually myself, so I will just ask
they on the 45 show they do that on Tuesday and Friday. Then they go into code and they write all that stuff, and I'm just looking at it like, oh wow, yeah, cool, and then oh cool. Although I must say, I know a bit of Python, but I learned that if you say that to a developer, they're like, yeah, but that's not really developing. That's just like scripting plus or something. So yeah.
So that's the level I just normally are comfortable with myself, but I've learned some programming, but not too much. So
yeah. I actually did a lot in PHP, which also always like, is it a programming language or but yeah.
So it's finished building now. I've just clicked Control plus, so I have it a little bit more
that's better.
Specific font here, so it's easier to people to see. And then I will type npm start, and that will start the application locally. So now I will have a running application. Obviously, you cannot use that application to sign yourself in to the 435 show now, but I can do that locally when I develop. So when I'm finished with this application, I can just I can publish it to Azure. For example, I can run it as a static web app in a storage account or something. So it's a really easy application scenario. But you could have other applications as well, of course. Now it's listening on port 3000. So let's look at the sign up. So I will go into a new in private window. And because I don't want to mix existing authentication with a new user signing up. So I now can go and select localhost 3000, and this is the application. This is the application I installed. So it's a vanilla JavaScript single page application.
It's the most beautiful thing I've seen today.
Yes. So I built this from scratch myself. So
yeah, there you go. You're now a developer. Here's your certificate.
So and then I can go into sign in, and this is the things you probably want to change if you want to create your own application. You can have a sign in and sign up in the middle of the screen, a little bit more shown to the end users that it's, and you can have the different sign up options ready made. So, but basically, as you can see here, I only now have the opportunity to sign in with an existing user. I have no way to create a new user.
Okay.
And that's because I'm missing the last step. So, and the last step was going back to the...
yeah. I was wondering what was going wrong, and now we're like, oh wait, yeah, okay. Fun.
I need to go to that user flow again and connect this application to the user flow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So we will go in here, and then I can go to applications, and now I should have an application to connect. So if I click add here, and let's see that there it is, 425 show self-service user app. So now I can connect it, and there we are. So
cool.
So now I connected it. So let's see if that was enough with just a little refresh. Here, sign in might be. Yeah.
I see something else in Norwegian.
Yeah. So this is no account. Create an account.
Okay, there you go.
So
I believe you. I believe you that that's what it's saying.
Yeah. Take my word for it. So create a new account, and then you can see I can do register by email or register by Microsoft. So this is kind of puzzled me a little bit first when I started working with that, because the first button here, it will handle both one-time email passcodes, and it will also handle Azure AD signups.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would expect some sign in with a work account or something.
Yeah. And if you would say like register with Microsoft, you only get the Microsoft account, right?
Yeah, the Microsoft account experience will come here. Yeah. So if I go back to the sign up and let's so this now I really got lost, because I went to the Microsoft account and I said that I don't have an account, and then it will help me create a Hotmail account or something. So
and if you try an existing Azure AD account here.
Yeah, let's do that. But I think I'm too deep in the Microsoft account now. So
no,
it's already. Yeah. I also have a Microsoft account with the same. I know that's not best practice, but I've had it forever. So I have a Microsoft account with the same email address as my work account.
Yeah.
Today it's not possible to create, right?
No, it's blocked now. But there are a lot of companies who are like, because where a lot of those like mix-up accounts came from. Yeah. I think in Windows Vista, if I'm right. Or Windows 7, one of the, you needed to create a Microsoft account, so not an Azure AD account, but a Microsoft account to sign into your PC. So a lot of people at corporations, they use their corporate email address, and that's how a lot of those like Microsoft accounts linked to corporate address things got created back then.
Yeah. So understandable. Let's so I went out and got in again and created an account, and let's start again. So from the top here, I can just select and I will just use my normal work account. So this is me in real life. And now you can see I will be redirected to my tenant, which is skill. So obviously I'm using passwordless.
Nice.
That's the way to do it. So I've just confirmed that in my authenticator. And there we are.
Okay.
And we have our first demo fault. Because it says that this account doesn't exist in that organization. And so did I really create this correct one? Let's see. Let's try again.
Yeah.
That was strange.
Maybe.
I know it might be that it hasn't really picked up on the user flow right just yet.
Yep.
So
maybe close it in private and try again.
Yeah, I think so.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah, basically that. Because I did that. So let's go and select new in private again and local host 3000.
Okay, and then we can sign in again.
Sign in. Yeah, no account, create an account.
Okay.
Register by email. And there we are.
Okay. The passwordless experience starting.
So let's keep an open eye on that. That could be potentially a reason for the error, because I have seen in some cases that passwordless is really not really always supported in all guest scenarios.
Okay.
So let's do another account. So I will go create account again.
Yep.
And register by email. So I have this website. This is kind of a security thing for many, I think, by creating something. There's some service called temp mail.
Yep, that's just an email address you use for half an hour or something like. Yeah.
There's a service, tempmail.org. Yeah. So I have been using that for testing one-time passcode. So also here in Norwegian. So this is my one-time passcode. So let's copy that.
Okay, let's try this.
And sign in. I think I had that sign-in window behind there somewhere. So let's go there. Oh, now it's saying a code was recently sent to this email address. So I should be able to retrieve that from that inbox here.
Okay.
Just a few there. There it is.
There, that's quick.
Yeah. So that's the one-time passcode. So we got to demo that as well. So let's copy that account verification code. And it's behind here.
The pop-up, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. So now, this looks better because now this is the standard prompt for consenting to basically it will be able to sign me as that user and read my name, email address. So that's the OpenID Connect kind of profile and sign in as user, delegated permissions.
Yeah. So the consent screen.
Yeah. So I need to consent to that. And now, excitingly, we're looking for the next screen. That's the add more detail. So still in Norwegian here, but here are my user flow attributes. So now I can say that this user, his name is Kalo. His name is surname is Va, and we can call him Kalo Va. And he's not a developer from a temp mail company, and we'll just placing him on, let's say, Norway then.
Okay.
So this is the second step, right? So this is after the signing in and before creating the user. And remember, we haven't had any API connectors or nothing like that now. So we can just proceed here. And that user will be automatically approved and added to the tenant. So now I can accept consents for the app itself. And I accept that permissions. So this is the graph permissions in that app. So it asked me to consent to see my profile.
Because I want to get some information.
Yeah. So the first one was related to sign in only, to get the sign in and details. But the second one is the actually app that asks for the permissions I need here. So that depends on the app. So now I have this user set up.
And there are the details.
Basically, Stefan, I think the reason why I wasn't able to sign up with my user, I think it might be with the passwordless authentication flow. So it's something to note.
That is, I'm gonna double check on that to see if that is like expected behavior, or maybe Daniel knows. He's in the chat to see. And I also want to say hi to the people from Coded Live. Welcome to the channel. Today we're building the self-service sign up for Azure AD. And we just did the groundwork. So we have the self-service sign up. Jan just created a new user, and we're going to add capabilities to it through an API. So we're going to look into a approval piece as well. So just a little recap for people who joined later. Perfect. Okay, let's take it to the next step.
Yeah, so then we can go back to the tenant, because what I'm interested in now is what has happened with my users or your users in that tenant.
Yeah, exactly. You're adding all kinds of new users to my tenant. Yeah. What is happening?
Yeah, we can have new users in now. So that's the interesting thing now is this new user, that Kaluva user I created. We now see that he's a guest, or she. Let the identity issuer is male. So that's interesting, because there's a one-time passcode, so the issuer is male, but this will state another Azure AD tenant, a Microsoft, Google, Facebook, depending on where the user came from. Cool. And this is also interesting, because this is new. Now you have a self-service sign-up creation type. So people that sign in, and you talked about dynamic groups earlier and so on, so you can probably use that. I think I haven't looked into it, but it could be a property that you can use as an attribute for dynamic groups. So they are creation type. If you invite another user, it will be the creation type will be by invitation. If you do this new guest user and invite directly, or invite via Teams or some other means, but the self-service sign-up, they will have this specific sign-up.
Yeah, and then also for the dynamic group, for example, you can take the email address and then the UPN suffix, or the suffix of the email address, and create a group for a specific company, saying, okay, the people coming from this company would just look up that, automatically get access to all this type of stuff. So a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah. So so now we know that. I do wanted to just check one more thing. And that is that inside, let's go into the profile here. I do have my demo Microsoft 365 tenant.
There we go.
And I will also get that in that same scenario. So this is the Contoso. This is the demos you can sign up for at demosmicrosoft.com. So some have the opportunity to do that. I will just go to users, and basically I will just test my scenario, because I tried to
Okay.
sign in with my user, but that was another Azure AD account. But let's do it. Let's sign in Adele Vance, for example.
Okay. Yeah. So without the passwordless piece, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So let's. I'll just go in and get the user principal name. In 2 seconds. There we are. So
Adele, the singer.
Oh.
Is she gonna sing us a song?
let's copy that one. So if I go to this little
To the sign up.
platform again and sign out here. So I have I can sign that out now. I also have signed out with my other account. So let's see. I can do like this.
Meanwhile, Mr. QQ, thank you for following.
And I will just log off and forget those other accounts for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There they go.
We don't need your services anymore.
Yeah.
So let's go in with Adele. Yeah. So now we can see it's correctly bringing up the other tenant.
Yep.
And I can go. I don't remember her password, so I will just reset it to something simple. Yeah.
Okay, now people can use it.
Yeah, you have to be quick, because
go.
Yeah.
Be John.
So I will just
too late.
do that here, and I will quickly change it.
Yeah.
So you don't have the.
I can tell you, we show passwords on the show all the time. It's and then we add MFA and stuff. It's all fine.
Yeah, it's all fine. So here we are.
Okay, let's see if this.
No. So wasn't the passwordless thing. So this is something I've been doing in my working solution. So I cannot, for just this moment, explain why work accounts cannot be signing in.
Yeah, because I checked the settings. So let me share that so people can see it. Okay, so there you go. So I checked if you go to user settings, you can go to manage external collaboration settings. And one thing, of course, you need to make sure that guests, anyone in the organization can that you can invite guests, and that the self-server sign-up is enabled, and it's all enabled. So not sure what's happening here, to be honest.
Not me either. This can be something I forgot, but I'm.
Yeah, I'm you went through it very thoroughly, so I don't think. I'm just going to check identity providers, but there's nothing here to configure. So, but did you enable? Yeah. So
it says users with they from Azure, other Azure editants, they can be invited. So here you have some great examples of how you can customize those login screens, right? You see from displays about how you can, if you have a developer on your side, you can really create a beautiful and nice new sign-up experience like this.
Yeah. So you can completely tailor it to your needs as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go with the user we have right now, and then we're probably gonna figure out at some point what the problem was with that account. Let me switch this back to the correct view. There we go. Yeah. So everyone can see your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So basically, we have this. I will just skip this now, and I will go back to my. So this is the local npm start I run for doing that application locally. So I just kill that now. Terminate batch job, so it will stop for now. So let's go into the API connector stuff. There are two ways you can go about this. You can work with Azure Functions and Nordic Apps from a local development environment. So you have the
Mhm.
possibility to do that from Visual Studio Code. And that will make sense if you have some source code repository, version control, those kind of requirements. And always it's very helpful to develop locally and just push code as you like. But
Yep.
save time, I will do it directly in the portal now.
Okay.
Or depending on a little bit time, how many time we have some more minutes, right?
Yeah, we have all night if we want to.
All night, yeah.
All day,
Yeah,
wherever you are
should we
located.
do
But
it the correct way then?
yeah,
Doing it locally, and then we just push it out.
that sounds fine.
I think we'll do, at least for the Azure Functions. We can do the logic app part in the portal.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
so basically, I need to have some API connectors registered, so I can
Yep.
start processing that information. So if I go into external identities, and I have all API connectors,
Mhm.
and it shouldn't come as a surprise that I don't have any API connectors now.
No.
So if I want to register a new API connector, I will need to just specify a name for it, and then I need an endpoint URL and specify the authentication type.
Yeah, like you showed in your own demo tenant at the beginning of the show, right? It's that's the information we need.
That's correct. Yeah. So what I will do now is I will go to this Visual Studio environment, Visual Studio Code environment again,
Mm-hmm.
and I will go in and open another folder a little higher up still in that GitHub repository.
Yeah.
One, because I want to share it later with you guys. So I will just create a new folder here. I will call it function app API. And I will go into that folder and select that as a new
Folder.
yeah, workspace in my Visual Studio Code, basically. So this is the starting point for my creating those Azure functions, which will serve as my APIs to this scenario.
Cool.
So there are some good docs on the Microsoft Docs page around how to get started using Azure Functions and Visual Studio Code. There are some things you need to install and some extensions and so on. So basically, I have this Azure extension here, so I can sign in. So first, I need to sign out from my existing environment because I do have my working account here, so I can just do an Azure sign out now.
Awesome.
And then I will sign in with the account you created for me that has Azure rights to your subscription. So now I can start pushing out a lot of exciting stuff in your tenant or your tenant.
So it's going to be the new server for a new botnet that you're going to deploy, or
yeah, I will do some crypto mining or something. So
crypto mining, also a good one.
So I can do and to just make sure that I authenticate in the right browser. It's always a good idea to sign in with the device code. So let's do that. It's working. Just one minute. So it's a live house here, so I'm sure you're picking up some house sounds like water, springs, kitchen sounds, stuff like that.
I didn't hear anything. So it's I think your new microphone is perfectly filtering out.
I'm hearing a little bit myself. So I told my family, be quiet today. A couple of hours.
That's what I try to do all the time. I asked them, but my daughter is 7, and she tend to walk into the office all the time and then just ask for candy or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a session. Go away, go away. Luckily, you cannot see the door is like just outside of the view of the camera. So then I hear the door and I'm like, "Ugh," and then talking and doing stuff at the same time. Okay, cool.
So I think it wasn't working, so I will just try it again. I'm not
Okay.
offline, I think, because then I would be talking to you guys.
Yeah, that would be interesting if you would be offline right now, because how would you talk here?
So one more time.
Okay.
Sign in with device code.
And otherwise, as a backup, we can always like
Yeah.
do it the not so recommended way. But
So it's a little bit puzzling that it hasn't got around to me, because then I will have the device code here, and I just do a device.
Yeah, go to the sign in and then.
Mm-hmm. You appear to be off.
Oh.
Ah, there it is. It's starting to do. It took a really long while because something just now happened there. So I think
Now you can pick 2 device codes.
I can pick two. One of them is I think it's the free actually. So
Wow.
I think I will do that last one. So let's try to select that text. Oh, that wasn't easy. Come on. Okay. And I do have a D.
Okay, so we should remember the D.
Remember the D.
Yeah.
So I will just go into Microsoft.com and device login. This is to authenticate my Visual Studio Code environment to this your tenant.
It
So
copied
I
everything.
a lot of things there.
I only remember the D now.
Me too. We'll get it. So I see now it's all blue.
Ah, there you go.
So it's very there.
Ah, yeah,
Copy
copy text. And now hopefully
yeah,
it hasn't copied everything.
Tell you what, let's use our old friend Notepad, and then we can just make sure that we get all these.
Oh, how many times I do this? Like copy stuff in Notepad.
There's something lagging when I work with my computer now, so it saved all the resources from our microphone and video camera, basically. So I definitely need to replace my laptop too now.
Yeah. Now you got an even better argument.
Yeah, so it's nothing to wait for. So then we have the code, and I will just authenticate, and yeah.
Yep.
So I'm logging on Visual Studio Code on a device that's in Norway. So I will accept that. And now I'm logged into code. So if I go to this environment now, I should start seeing something Azure related here.
Okay.
Hopefully. So while that's
the account thing with the number on it or is it?
Should
it pop up something?
Appear something down here, and then also I can go to the Azure here, and I will see. I will start seeing some subscriptions and something.
Okay,
so
yeah.
This is where I will start later to add some stuff, but
it
should be working now soon. I hope.
It seems like things are happening, and otherwise maybe we can first like look into the logic app and then switch back to the function.
Sure, sure, we can do that. So if I go to let's let that work while we look into the logic app as you suggested, Stefan.
Cool.
Yeah. So I will go back to the tenant, which we have here, and go to the main part of the Azure portal. And then we can go and select logic apps.
So
there we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we are.
Oh, there are no logic apps to display. So this is the
Nope.
first logic app we want to have in this tenant.
Yeah.
So
It's a
if I
very
go
very clean tenant still.
very clean, very clean. So let's add some consumption to this tenant.
I got 150 euros, I think. So don't make it don't go too crazy.
These are kind of cheap logic apps.
Yeah.
So basically, the idea behind the logic apps for this self-service sign-up is to have the opportunity to do some checking of approval management and so on. So
Yeah.
which kind of or send an approval to an account, this kind of stuff. So I will just create a new resource group for this specific scenario. I will just call it for external identities and use the prefix RG for a resource group. And I will just let's do it in your home neighborhood area, West Europe.
Yeah. Close by.
Yeah. And then
It's
I will
probably gonna be in a data center now, which is like 30 kilometers from my home.
Oh yeah, that was. So we will do. I will just name it Logic App, or you can call it LA or something for just a prefix for naming convention, and then I will just call it B2X, and I will call this sign up.
I love it how you introduce naming conventions into our tenant.
So this is a new subscription, so I can really start from the bottom here.
Yeah.
So I can do a logic app for requesting approval. This is the solution I've built myself, and then I can just add some tags if I want to do that. But now I'll just create this logic app,
Okay.
and then I will have a second logic app as well. So if I go to that resource, you can see it here. Let's finish that one first. Yeah, so it would just ask me to start with a common trigger. I will always start with a request response kind of a trigger because that's the most flexible. So I will choose that template. So it basically will receive an HTTP request and can respond something back. So I'll just save that for now. And that's the first one done. So if I go back to Logic Apps, I will create a second one because I want to reflect the two steps of the self-service sign-up. The first one is checking the approval status. The other one is the request and approval.
Okay.
So I will do another Logic App creation. And I will select that existing resource group, and I will call that Logic App B2X sign up and check
approval,
for example. Yeah. And the same region as before, and then just review and create.
Create. That's the second one. That's actually pretty quick deploying it.
Yeah. So I saw from yesterday only. So they have changed the complete user interface for. They even have a new logo for Logic Apps, and the design is brand new. So that started from yesterday's. Obviously, in relation to build or something.
You don't want to know how many times then I would do a presentation and then you have screenshots or you're doing a demo and you're like, oh wait, everything changed and I didn't know. That's
Right. So that will happen often enough. So let's see now. Now we have in this specific resource group, I have now should have two logic apps. Yeah, there it is. So now I have 2 of those logic apps. Let's go back to the function app here, and let's see if I was able to sign in.
Looks like it's still.
Yeah. So I will just we can do another sign in because I think it's quite down now. So let's do that one more time. There we are. Copy text. Let's try that and go into.
You're getting better at copying the text.
Yeah. So Microsoft.com device login again. It's always no.
I shouldn't have said something. Yeah.
But now I have already had my notepad up. So.
Yeah, back to good old notepad.
Yeah. Let's do this. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the 4to5 show account.
Yeah. So you can now close this window. Let's do that.
And let's hope it has been signed in right now.
Yeah. So now you can see Azure.
Yeah, I see. There
and
you
now
go.
I have the subscription, so I can select that.
Yep.
And now it's starting. Yeah. So free trial and so on. So now we are looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, when you're working with Azure Functions inside Visual Studio Code, you have to create a new project, and you should always be in an empty folder, like I have already done here. I created a Function App API kind of folder. So I can go to here and just select to create a new project.
Okay.
And I will just select to have that project in that folder.
Yeah. And so with Azure Functions, you only need one function instead of with Logic Apps, where you basically do two Logic Apps.
Well, I will reflect those 2 Logic Apps. So I will have a one function app, but I will have one function per scenario. So I will have 2 functions, but I will have one function app.
Okay, yeah. So in one function app, you put multiple functions. I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
correct. So then I can just he's creating a project now, and now it asks me for what kind of a template I want for the first function. It will be an HTTP trigger. That's usually what we will use for APIs. And then I will give it a name. So it could be like check approval status.
Yeah.
First one. So I will start with the function and receive that information that I get from the self-service signup, and then I will use the logic app for the logic steps and kind of do it more visually.
I see.
From an API perspective, it's easier to do it in code. That's why I like to use it PowerShell in Azure Functions.
Yeah.
So I have an authorization level, just clicking function here. So that will be requiring an API key to call the function. And now it's starting to build that first local project and that function.
So looking at the time, we're now 1.5 hours in. Do we want to do like a 2-minute break to get a drink or a bathroom break or anything?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Let's break for, let's say, 2 minutes and then come back and continue. Cool.
Okay.
See you in a bit. It's such a funky piece of music, don't you think?
Yeah,
We actually have people on the show that are waiting for the break to dance to the music.
yeah.
But it's a
Exciting.
continuous loop. Yeah, it is. So we're back. We're here with Jan, and today we're basically building a approval workflow for the self-service sign up for Azure AD for your guest users, and we're using Azure Functions for that, and also Logic Apps. So. We're now at the point at the Azure function point. So yeah, it looks like we got something in Visual Studio Code right now.
Yeah, it has created our first function. It's kind of a basic function. It just will retrieve inputs in form of a request, and if that request contains a name, it will just present that back as a response. So that's the default way to start using Azure Functions and PowerShell in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the things I will start changing now. So first of all, I do need one more function. This is the check approval status.
Yep.
I also need a second function that I will use for requesting approval. So let's go into that same folder I have here, and I will just click create function. So, and I will use HTTP trigger again, and this kind, in this case, I will just call it so request approval, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah. And I will just use function authorization as well for that.
And then we will get another beautiful function.
Yeah. So you can see from my code explorer now, I have some files depending that contains the Azure Function projects itself, but also I will have a separate folder for each of my functions in that function app. And inside that run PS1, this is the this is logic. This is the code that will be triggered when I use those API extensions. So the thinking about this is that I will retrieve that API request when people are self-servicing and using user sign up, and then I will just retrieve and massage that request, get all the info I can retrieve from it, and then I will talk to the Logic app to actually do the checking the approval status and so on.
Yeah.
So that's the thinking about
I see.
the solution itself.
Yeah.
So there we are. So basically, we need to change something here, and I already have this set up in my own environment. So I will just copy some code in here, and I will explain as we walk through. But let's start with the check approval status one. So basically, first of all, I will just start a function with just writing something to the log so that I know that it has successfully triggered something, and so I can just do it like this. So it's just something that PowerShell HTTP triggered function process a request for checking approval status for external identity self-service signup. So it's just for logging purposes. Yeah, something to see from the serial stream of logs. And the next part is that in my case, I would like to retrieve the information that the self-service user is trying to. So I will just delete this. I won't use those standard values.
Yeah.
And I will retrieve the request body. This is when people are using the API connectors for self-service signup. Yep. If I sign in as that temporary mail user, if I sign in as another Azure AD user or something like that, that information will be sent to the AI. So I can just, for debugging purposes, just list out all those parameters, and I can get those parameters. So I can get the email, the given name, the surname, the display name, and user ID, locale, issuer, sign-in type. This is default the properties I will get from that sign-in.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So all this is documented at the Docs platform for external identities. So I think we can bring that up later, so you can have some example on that. But this is just to get the information I need. Then I will take that information and prepare that and just build a second body with that information, which I will send over to the logic app.
Yep.
Yeah. So first of all, I now want to skip that step because I want to test that Azure function.
See if there actually data is coming in.
Yeah, I will do that. So so if I go and just copy the rest of my code there, and I will just walk through it. So I'll just replace that output. So this is my my information. I've just commented out the calling to the logic app. This is the other logic app I have already implemented myself. So in this this field, I will use the logic app information we created in your tenant.
Yeah.
So if I go to this check approval status logic app here,
and you should get the URL from that one and use that one. Yeah.
That is correct. So if I go into edit mode, and then I can go this way.
And there's the okay, yeah.
This is the one I want to use.
Yeah.
So I will go in here and just add that inside there. But I won't call it just yet because I haven't built anything there. But
exactly, nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening. But what I will get is that I will build that URI, and then I will get the approval status back from that logic app. So I will retrieve that status like this. But for now, I'm just setting approval status manually, just for testing the function. Yeah. So, and this is specific to the external identities and API connector self-service signup. You have to provide some statuses. So you have to provide accepted or rejected or pending or something unknown. And the user will be presented with a show block page, for example, and then you can have a custom text. So this is where you have your logic. So based on the logic in the logic app, you can present, you can, for example, say that, oh, Stefan, he's not allowed to sign in because I haven't approved his request. And then you will get the rejected part. And then you will have this information type here. So instead of, if you remember from earlier, I had first the sign in, and then I have that second page where I have to specify my different kind of user information.
Yeah.
And if at some point that user was already denied, that it will show a block page instead and say that sorry, you are not allowed to self-service sign up. That's the idea by this.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Yeah.
So I've just prepared some standard approval statuses here, and then for now I'm just setting accepted, and I will return that back.
Yeah.
So this is the first Azure function. It's really easy because I'm just retrieving what I get from Azure AD and preparing it to send it to Logic App, and then returning the status back to a response.
So this is basically the wrapper around it, like getting data, preparing it, checking to see in Logic App, and then sending it back. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. So just a wrapper. I could do all the logic as code as well, but that's more difficult to handle approvals and so on. But basically, That's why I want to do a combination of Azure Functions and Logic Apps.
Just make it yourself easy. It's it's the same like what I said, right? It's I make myself global administrator because it's easier. It's not like this, but it's just like there are multiple ways of getting things done, and yeah. So that sounds like a good reason.
Yeah. So this is the first the request check approval status function. Let's go into the other one, the request approval, and it basically would be kind of similar, but
Yeah.
a little bit more information I need into that. So I will just copy some code again.
Yeah. So we will get data from the Azure AD side. We will prepare it, and then check the logic app, and then send the response back.
Correct. So if I now start and just replace all this standard stuff here.
Yeah.
So likewise, I'm now just logging, and then I get all the properties I want to present. So you remember from our example, I didn't include city, so I can just remove that. I have email, display name, given name, surname. This will always be there. It's the language that requests what kind of browser or settings, the language settings the user comes in with. Yeah.
So the error response can be localized as well with this, right? We can check that and see like what type of message we will send back. Yeah.
You can change user message here depending on the UI if you want to.
Cool.
And this is copied from my environment, but all the custom attributes, they have a different extension.
Yep.
So I need to know the extension for this specific company. And we can look into that later, but just a little note on that. And then I also get the issuer because there is a dependency on if you are coming from a Google or Facebook or one-time email passcode.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, Microsoft or Azure AD, they won't have that issuer component. So I need to retrieve it and check if I have it, because then I have a different process.
Yeah, I see.
So let's see here. I did leave out city, so just leaving out that one as well. So this is the same thing I do. I just build a new body to send to the logic app, and then I need to copy in that logic app here. Cool. So let's do that as well. There we are. Then I don't need to go to the other one.
Yeah.
So we are good into details now. I hope this is useful to see.
Yeah, this is cool. I looked into logic apps one time, but I haven't gotten this far as you gotten here. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's logic app is great. I started actually with Power Platform and Power Automate flows. It's quite similar. So
it's actually built on top of logic apps. It's just the slimmed down, easy to use version. Where in logic app you're way more flexible.
Correct. So it's just a little delay.
Yeah, you create it in Western Europe. Now it needs to travel from Norway to Amsterdam.
So actually, many Norwegian customers and organizations have been using West Europe for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
But now we are starting moving things to East Norway. Cool. So it's closer to us, obviously.
Yeah.
It's still a smaller data center than West Europe. But so here we are. So I can copy that and go into this one and then just select... yeah, there we are. And I'm just, for now, also hiding this. So I don't run it just as yet, and just set a status manually. So basically, we have the same statuses here: approved, rejected, pending, and so on. So we have a couple of situations where you can check the statuses of that self-service user sign up, and then I will return that the same way. So those two are quite similar. I do see that when I built these examples and tried it out, I wanted to separate the processes because you do have to have two separate steps um, to configure in the user flow. And it made sense to me to have two APIs. I see that you could probably combine some logic in one API. You can also send the request directly to Logic app, for example. So there are some other ways to implement this, but I built this kind of modular, so I have different components that can use each other. So yeah.
I like building things modular. It makes it easier at some points to add stuff or like update things. You don't need. It's not going to be like one big mess at some point. You just got it nicely separated out. But I can imagine that people want to like merge it if they're used to that. So yeah, good point.
So what we have here now is that with these two Azure functions, I can now go in my local environment. This is kind of similar to the npm node package management start I did earlier, but now I can do a func start. Yeah. So let's see. I do have something.
When you type func start, I was expecting some funky disco
stuff.
music to start playing.
Obviously, it should be possible.
Yeah.
So to combine that with
Exactly.
some funky music as well.
Some kind of Easter egg that you like started func start minus disco or something, and then it starts playing disco music.
So basically, before I publish this to Azure, so I can test these functions locally. So I can do some testing of the logic behind this. So now I will have let's bring this up a little bit so we can see a little better. So now I have those two functions. They are published locally on localhost 7071 and my custom API, and I have different settings for those. So what this means is that I can now test the functionality behind these and before I publish them. These are not accessible for the self-service sign-up in external identities, of course, because they are only running locally. But for testing, they are great to use. So for testing, I'm usually doing that with let's see here. I'm usually doing that with Postman, so I will just bring that over to this screen. That's really small.
Ooh, that's wide.
It's really wide. Yeah. So let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here as well.
Seems like you can. Wow. I never tried it in Postman, to be honest.
Yeah. So it should work fine.
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah. So as you can see here, I can do Postman, and I can just test that API, that 7071 port locally, and then I will send in a request body. For example, if I type on my email address like this, and display name, given name, surname, and locale, I can also include the company and so on. But you can see if I push that now and go to this project, you will see that the request is coming in.
Cool. So now you're running Azure locally or Azure Functions.
Yeah. So
there it is.
Yeah, and it returns a status of continue, and that's the or show block page or something. So these scenarios I need to look into first, and I will, because of the little of the time we have now. I will just show you that docs article I was talking about, and we can link it later.
Sounds good.
But if I go,
I guess you probably want to have dinner at some point.
we have early dinner.
Oh, you had?
In
Oh,
Norway,
lucky
yeah.
you.
Usually we eat around 4.
Oh yeah, of course. That's I always forget in the Nordics. It's like early. Also with early lunch, I do remember so many times that I usually I'm not a morning person, so I walk in at 10 a.m. or something, and then at 11 people are like starting to go to lunch. I'm like, wait, I just had breakfast.
Yeah. It's strange that different countries
Yeah.
have very different ways to. The difference between Norway and Sweden even is huge in eating
Wow.
times. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so this is this article I'm showing here. It's
Yep.
basically the inspiration behind some of the things I've done.
Cool.
So this is the connectors and so on. But further down here, there's are examples of how kind of
Ah.
output you will expect from
Yep.
different signups. Like if it's coming from Facebook, it will look something like this. And it's telling you what kind of a continuation or blocking response. So all the stuff you need to look into for building your custom API is basically here.
So there's just a step-by-step guide on how to build this, and
yeah,
basically you choose to use the Azure Functions and the logic apps to fulfill the logic behind it, right?
yeah, correct. So, and there are different ways to do that if there are federated users and one email one time, or if it's active Azure Active Directory or Microsoft account, and there's another process, for example. So there are basic information here. So it's all in there. But my implementation was to bring this to Azure Functions and Logic Apps to have a real scenario about it. But I learned a lot about seeing those different expected inputs to the APIs and so on.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Was at some point you probably did some trial and error type of things, well, right? Or
yeah, so basically I did that
yeah.
locally, as I showed you now, with
Yeah.
just running things, testing here,
The community
going to
response.
Postman, having different kinds of attributes, and look into how things worked.
Super cool.
Basically, I did that. Yeah.
So basically, the missing piece now is, of course, deploying this to Azure. But from the function perspective, you need to call that logic app, right?
Yeah.
And then the logic app can contain, as it says, all the logic.
That is true. So let's try to get this to a working example. And I think, Stefan, that I will just show my logic app from my working environment.
Yep, let's do that.
It will probably take at least and half an hour to 45 minutes more to build that logic app, I think. But I will show it.
Let's show it, because I'm starting to get a bit hungry. So yeah, it's very interesting. I love how you showed and demo it. But yeah, let's show your logic app, what you've built, and then of course what you said, all the code and everything we've been using in this session will be on your GitHub.
Yeah, I will publish that after this session.
Yep.
And that will include these two Azure functions here.
Mm-hmm.
It will include that sample app, I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
And also I will copy in a code view of those logic apps I have working in my environment.
Cool.
But if I just now go back to the portal here, I will go to that resource group, and I will create a new resource that will be the function app, because I need somewhere to publish those functions.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the function app, and I will just click create.
And now I can hear the the background the background noise on your side. when we were all both totally quiet, I heard something. I was like, wait, okay, that's it.
TV sounds and so on. Yeah. So I will just let's call this 365 app API, for example.
Yeah.
let's add in the show as well. So we are
It's 4 to 5.
yeah. It is.
all those I know I understand how you get 365. It's
So in my case, I'm running this as a PowerShell core,
yeah.
and I will do the 7 version, and the region will be, let's see here. Did I browse too fast? Europe.
I think on the top are the most used ones, or no, not in this.
Not in this case.
No,
How did I
sometimes
miss?
it is.
How
And
did I
then
miss West Europe?
it's I think totally at the bottom. Then is it?
I
That's
just tried.
also
Yeah, that's
that's
easier.
way
That's
easier.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just specify what kind of a runtime stack. Sorry. And then I go to hosting and what kind of consumption. So this will just be run minutes, and that makes sense. So, and then I will do just a quick. So I usually have application insights. It helps with the monitoring and debugging over time. I will do no to just save time.
Yeah.
So review and create. So this is the function app, and this one function app can host many functions of same
Cool.
type, right? Yeah.
So only create one function app. You don't need to create multiple.
Yeah, one for this specific scenario.
For this scenario, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I have running different kinds of function apps for some security operations scenarios. I have all those kind of functions in a function app dedicated for that, and something I have for platform operations. I will save it for that, and so on. So. Okay, it's deploying and successfully configured. Now, if I go to this environment again and go back to the Azure extension, I should be able to do something called deploy to a function app.
Yep. So now we're moving it from being locally run to a function app in Azure, where also Azure AD can reach it.
Yeah, correct. So now I will just go in and just select that I want to deploy this to my newly created function app. And it is saying it's deploying. So while that deploys, I will do another thing, and I will go back to the logic apps again, just to have them working, but not with the logic I want to implement, but just have them working in this scenario. I need to be able to go in and make sure that they return something expected.
Yeah. Otherwise, you probably get nothing back at this point.
That's correct. So when I go into the first one,
so maybe you hear some background noise at my side. My daughter is trying to talk to a certain voice activated device to get some music running, and she's like screaming to it because it's not responding.
I didn't hear. Hear. So okay, let's see. So things are working. It's working.
It's thinking there.
Now. So what I want to do is I need to provide some kind of a response that will be handled in the function that I will call it. So if you remember the code, it was expecting something like approved, for example, as a status. So when I call the logic app, I will get an approval response back, so I can and if and if that response is approved, for example, then it will return with continue, for example.
I see.
So
if we just have it say approved, then everyone gets approved all the time.
yeah. So basically, I will just add this.
So hard code it in there.
Yeah,
But I think this is really cool because actually all those steps in between, you can theoretically like do all kinds of crazy stuff, like tweet something or whatever, or send someone a DM or just an email asking them to approve. Which
you can do a lot of interesting things here. You can send an email. You can notify users internally that a user has signed up for your tenant, and so on. So you can do a lot of interesting stuff.
Flash your lights.
Yeah.
I once set that up with if that then that the lights in the living room would flash when I got a new email. I can tell you after a few hours, my wife asked me if I could please disable that because it was getting very annoying.
Yeah. Actually, I have built a solution for that myself using Philips Hue.
Nice.
So I have a solution that, and I used subscribe to presence in Graph for my team's presence, so it changed lights when my presence changed. Yeah, and then for that solution, I used a combination of Logic Apps and Power Automate.
Awesome.
So
do you have a blog post or something about that? Or?
Yeah, I did. I have 10 blog posts on a complete series on
Cool.
how to build your own Power App that can control lights and subscribe to that. So awesome. I have a lot of. I did a 10-part series on that just in December last year.
And where can we find your blog?
My blog is on gotoguy.blog.
There we go. That's easy to remember, and we will make sure to put it like. I will. I could actually put it on the screen.
Yeah. So let's while we do that, I just save this. So I just provide a kind of a response for that, so that at least a default response. But between those two, from the input, from the output, from the request is received to the response we give up, this is we will implement all the logic, right? And I will do that same procedure for that other one.
Cool. I think we also need to give Logic Apps some coke to wake up.
Yeah, it's my environment now. Really, I see that the CPU is really going higher. I have a little issue now with the camera, and when I use the virtual cam and so on. So it's using a lot of resources on my end. That's why they think taking a little.
You can turn off the heating. You can just use the heating of your machine probably right now.
That would be a good step. So it was very slow now, but it will be probably just get out of the bottleneck. So let's see if the function was doing its. I think it's already published. Completed. So at least our function app is completed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that has been deployed now to Azure. So it's publicly available.
Yeah. So when I go into this part here again, I will just close the Postman because that's one of the things that takes resources. Sometime I have seen.
Yeah.
And we will in. Let's see here. Things are starting to appear.
We should make like we should come up with some Logic Apps loading music.
Yeah, this is the funk part again.
Yeah, I will spare people on my singing. I love to do karaoke, but normally it will take some alcoholic beverages for me to sing. So maybe if we ever meet in person, we can do karaoke.
I'm always up for that.
Nice.
I'm always up for that. So let's see. I think I sing my my local processor. It's definitely the video sharing that's taking most of my resources right now.
Okay.
It's the logic capture. So I have it should. Let's close some more screens on the
Yeah.
other.
Let's save some resources here to make sure that we can see the logic apps.
Yeah.
So on your blog, do you have so you have the blog series around how to connect the U-Light to your team status, but any other like cool things that you put up there?
Yeah, this winter I published some blog posts also on API using those logic apps, for example, as API and looking into the access token and providing the right access and so on. So
Cool.
there basically some different stuff about that I published this year. But sometimes you are able to get out a few blog posts in a couple of weeks' time, and then it takes a little bit time to get
Yeah.
started again, finding a new subject or something.
I always like envy people that can create those blog posts. I have all kinds of ideas. I can talk about it, but writing it down, it's terrible. It's I don't know. I get stuck at some point and it doesn't work. And the fun thing is that actually my wife is a writer, so she published some books. So she can do that very easily. But for me, it's like maybe that's how we make each other better, right?
Yeah,
I cannot write; she can write. So yeah,
basically something to get into the flow a little bit.
yeah.
So I stopped getting into Logic app because it's
Yeah.
uh,
Maybe
was
otherwise you can show what you did in your environment with the
yeah,
Logic
I
app
will do
so
that.
that we can
Yep.
glue it
So
together.
yeah, so but the function is out there now. So and this is
Yeah.
the parts that will make it work, because now I can go. These are the published functions I
Yep.
have from my local environment. So if I go to with this copy button here, get
Yep.
function URL. So this is the API actually.
Cool.
This is the API I will. So I just copied it, that one. Let's go into. So I will go back here again. So this is the check approval status.
Yeah.
So I
So we
can
need to
go
go to Azure AD.
into, yeah, and I will go to external identities and all API connectors, and I will add a new API connector. So and I can call this check approval status. And the endpoint URL, whoops,
Oh, almost.
there we are. So and I can have a basic authentication,
Mm-hmm.
and so after this stream, by the way, I think as this is a recording, I will. This code makes everyone in the world call this API. So
But still,
I will go in and change that later.
yeah,
So
that's
we are
good.
not exposed to mass APIs.
Yeah, it will drain my Azure trial very
Yeah.
quickly then.
So here I can type anything I want. I can call it my secret.
Yeah. So right now the whole authentication is the code that is in there. So username and password don't matter. Yeah, I see.
It's a combination of those two, and basically, so I can type my password or something here. It's not relevant to hide that now, really.
Don't forget the explanation mark at the end.
Yeah, make it really secure.
Now it's really secure.
Yeah. So so basically, I will just have that there, and inside the Azure function, I would need this will come in as a base 64 string. So if you know you're a little bit PowerShell, you can decode that string and you can verify against it. So we'll have that early in the code. But yeah. So that's extra layer of security. But basically, in production, you will have certificates and implement that as a way. So that's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can go to, let's see, back not to the Azure AD, but I will find the second
function.
and get the URL for that.
Yeah.
That will be this one.
Yeah, the request.
And copy that one. There we are. And go back to Azure AD.
They should make such a copy button on the device login flow in in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah. So, and then I will just click to select a new API connector. And this one I will call request approval. And
Ooh, yep, there you go.
the code again. So we will hide that later. So and then I will tell my secret user for my
password
exclamation.
Yeah. No, it's very, very secure.
Yeah, very, very secure. So next time I go in here, it will be in stars and hidden. So it's just when I type it in.
Yeah.
So those are the connectors, and now I can connect those to the user flow.
Yep.
And what is interesting now is that next user that tries to sign in will actually then trigger those APIs. Cool. So after signing in with the identity provider, I want to check approval status.
Yeah.
And before creating the user, I will request an approval for that user. So that's the basic idea of it.
Yeah.
Whole. And that would mean that that's all the component ready.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is in place except the actual logic app. And this is where I will show you from my solution how I built it, because you can do this any way you like. But let's do the check approval status first.
Yeah.
So this is my logic app. When I get an input, I will get an input from the Azure function, and I have included a schema here so that I can get all the information in correctly formatted. So this is what I pushed out from the Azure function.
Yeah. This is like the first step in the function, right? That you prepare what you're going to send out to the logic app.
Correct. So basically, this will be. Let's go into here again. So this is the what I prepared on this side.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, this is the one I sent in. So, and next step, and this is something you have to decide on, because if you want to do an approval system, then you might also need some because this is stateless stuff. It's a request. You receive a request and you do a response, but it's stateless. So you need to have some configuration source or something to store the all the people that apply to be a self-service sign-up. Then they need to, for example, you need to store that detail somewhere. You can do that in several ways. I chose to use a SharePoint list.
Oh, yeah.
So I created just a SharePoint list where I just added in all the new people that tried to sign up with their email address into that SharePoint list, and automatically I set the status of pending for those.
I see.
Yeah. And then I checked if there were some, I did some logic on display name. So if there were no display name, I used the email, but if not, I got the display name. Because I saw some requests, they were lacking display name, and I wanted to make sure that I at least have something for the users. And then I did, if the user didn't exist in the list, so there were no existing user with that email. This is a new request. Then I would do create a new item in the list. So I just add a new item in the list, and then I will respond accepted back. so that the user could proceed in the process.
Yeah.
In the next, if the user did, if it wasn't empty, then I will get the existing item like this. So I got a first response. This email is a unique value in that list, so I could just retrieve the one and only response I had, and then I would return if the user was pending or rejected.
And there's a switch on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will just return different values back to the Azure function.
Cool.
Basically, I did that. Yeah. So that's the check approval status. Just get it in the list if it hasn't been there from before, and if it was in the list before, because maybe some users were impatient. They signed up on 1 hour ago, and then they got the information that their request has been received. You have to wait to someone approves you.
Yeah.
And then if they try again later, then you should just return, okay, you are still pending, for example.
I see. Yep.
So that's the first logic app. The next one is the actual approval management. So in this example, I will have.
So the first logic app is basically running after you sign in, right? And it's going to check to see, like, are you on the list? What's your status? And return it to Azure AD.
Yeah. So the next one is actually doing and processing that approval request. So
logic app doesn't like you today.
No, it doesn't. But I will just do a refresh, and I think I will just be able to get it up. Just a minute.
Cool.
There we are. So in this example, I also get an input from the Azure function. So and also now will retrieve that, and I will also check in the list if the user is there, and I will get it, and I will expect to get it if it's in the list, because this is the second step.
Yep.
And then I will implement the logic. So I will get what's the status in that SharePoint column, because I have stored the accepted, pending, rejected type of statuses in that.
Yep.
So if it's approved, I will just respond with approve back to the function, and the user can continue. If it's pending, I will do response pending back to the function app, and then I will send an approval email to a selected user. For example, I will have some voting buttons. This user has requested a self-service sign-up, and please vote approved or rejected for that. So, and then the user will be updated with the selected option as a status. So if I selected approved, the user will be approved.
Yeah.
And then there are some different steps, because if you want to automate using an API, if the user is from Facebook or Google or one-time passcode, then you need to create the user, but you have to create it as an guest, and you have to as a user type guest, and you also have to have the identities. So this is a kind of a special scenario. If the user is from Microsoft account or an Azure AD account, then you will use the invitation API. So this is graph.
I see. Yep.
And I'm using managed identity to authenticate the graph. So there are some words about this. So that's why I said it will take a long time to build this.
I see. Definitely.
Yeah. But basically, and as I showed earlier, this is also described later in that article.
On how to do it. I see. Yeah.
So how you create the users? User have because when you implement manual approval, then you will need to do different setups
I see.
for
Yeah.
So interesting stuff.
Cool.
And
Definitely,
that-
yeah, and it's really interesting, and again, the stuff is going to be on the GitHub, and also we have that docs article. Maybe good to share that as well with the audience, so we'll make sure it's there. And then I think the last thing what we need to do first of all is raid a channel. I keep on forgetting that, but that's a Twitch thing. But before I'm going to do that, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you for showing all the stuff, and we'll probably see you again in the future on one of the shows. I'm definitely curious now about all the other scenarios that you have built. So the only question I want to ask is we can pick between two channels to raid. It's Rockstar 74 or Code Rushed. Which one should we raid?
So I'm not sure what you mean actually, because I'm quite new to this Twitch
I get it.
platform.
So on Twitch, Twitch, what we can do is because our show is going to end, we can move over everyone on our channel to a different channel. So that's basically. So we have a few friends of the show that we move people to. So I always pick like one of the channels that we follow. So Rockstar 74, who is just chatting, and then we have Code Rushed, who's talking about science and technology. So it's up to you to pick. There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answers. Well, as we were talking about music, let's go to the Rockstars today.
Rockstar 74. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Start raid. And then it's going to raid in 10 seconds. So thank you again. And thanks everyone for watching. And make sure to catch us next week at the same time, 4 to 5 show, the IT Pro edition. And on Friday at this time, there's going to be a developer edition. Thanks and bye.
Bye.